Welcome to BioBalance Healthcast. I'm Dr. Kathy Maupin.
And I'm Brett Newcomb. And today we're going to talk about long-term care and the cost of long-term care and why it's important, obviously, to delay long-term care questions in your life for as long as you can. In the previous podcast, we talked about the cost savings that can accrue for biohormone replacement. And just to summarize it, in case you don't want to go back and watch all that, roughly for the cost of a Starbucks a day for women and a Starbucks a day and a donut for men, you can receive BioBalance Healthcare hormone replacement treatment. And that's just the monetary cost. The non-monetary costs, at least immediately non-monetary costs, are improvements in the quality of your health and the quality of your life. And Kathy's going to talk about a list of specific things that are typical for both men and women in terms of benefit gains, and in terms of the way they feel, issues they no longer have, or issues they avoid developing because in a timely way they obtained these treatments.
When patients have taken BioBalance pellets, estrogen and testosterone for a long term, more than a year, several years, they develop benefits in their future health. So your bones get stronger, loss of osteoporosis. So not only do you save the money you would have on a medicine for osteoporosis, but you also improve your bones so that when you're 90, you'll still be standing straight up. Because the lack of osteoporosis, people don't really think about that. Why are people over like this? Well, there's two reasons people are always using walkers to walk. Well, three actually. First is their bones are thin and they feel frail to themselves, so their bones kind of become kyphotic. They kind of look down at the ground, and that has to do with thin bones. So keeping your bones thick is very important to staying independent, staying healthy. The next thing is muscle strength. Your muscles hold your bones straight and give tension to your bones, which is very important, but also muscles keep you standing straight up and make you able to walk. So muscles are from testosterone. So you absolutely have to have testosterone to keep your muscle strength. What we see nowadays is people who've not had testosterone, they're all leaning over, using their walkers or using wheelchairs because they don't have enough muscle strength. The third thing is balance. So the third thing that has to do with maintaining your body so that you can be independent, walk, do things until the last day of your life has to do with your balance. Because if you're always falling over, then you're going to break something or hurt something. So balance is important, and testosterone provides balance for people. It's one of those unusual things.
Because it provides muscle strength, muscle mass and muscle strength.
And a balance in your inner ear.
And balance in your inner ear.
So that's one of the big things to keeping people out of nursing homes, out of hospitals, and keeping them healthy and not having them have the cost of depending on a child. None of us, I don't think, unless we're unusual and I've never met you, wants to have their child wheeling them around in a wheelchair.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little masochistic, and I think my son deserves to pay for me when I'm older.
Yeah, well, I could counsel you on that.
Yeah, well.
So I never want my daughter to have to do that.
No,
and I don't think any of our parents that we now take care of, that are now in nursing homes, wanted us to have to do that.
No.
And that's another thing we're trying to prevent by maintaining hormonal balance. Another thing is our brains. You know, the minute testosterone leaves in women, we can't remember names, things, anything. And when we get our testosterone back, we can remember just like we used to remember at 35. So it also gives you a long-term effect of not getting dementia or Alzheimer's. It delays those for 20 more years.
So if you're genetically predisposed to Alzheimer's, this can interdict that for a number of years.
Yes, it prevents it, or actually it just postpones it.
Right.
But the goal is to postpone it past the time you're going to die of something else.
Right.
You know, so you never get it. But that's another reason people are in nursing homes.
So they can all sit around and go, at least she didn't die from Alzheimer's.
At least they didn't have to watch her lose her personality while she died of Alzheimer's, which is a horrible death because nobody knows
alive,
who you are.
Lights are on, nobody's home.
Right.
And
it's
so
not like
gone.
you're taking care of your parent anymore either, because we've gone through this,
Yes.
and it's like you're taking care of a stranger because they don't know you don't know them, and they act totally different than that parent did.
Right.
And it's so sad. I mean,
Yeah, they go through anger and depression and fear.
And fear, because they may get a flash of knowledge, and then they look at you like, I know who you are now, and then, I forgot.
And they're afraid because they don't know where things are. And they don't know what's
Well, they
okay.
can't live alone.
No.
I mean, that's the biggest problem, because people who have dementia and Alzheimer's have to be cared for.
Right.
And so these are the things that maintaining your hormonal balance help prevent, even if you have a family history of it. And if you don't have a family history of it, if you live long enough, you're going to get some kind of dementia.
Right.
That's just the vessels in your brain are going to get tiny,
You get senile.
and get senile. So that's we've talked about dementia and Alzheimer's before. Testosterone is also a good treatment or prevention for Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. It maintains the neurotransmitters so that Parkinson's is not doesn't happen as early. So they lump that into dementias, but it's not exactly a dementia. There's also muscle loss with Parkinson's. So in any case, that's an old age disease. So we're trying to prevent that. Our hearts are stronger, so we are less likely to be incapacitated by a heart attack.
What about things like cancers?
Well, everybody who's going to get cancer eventually has some kind of a genetic trigger or problem that it's waiting for a environmental trigger to turn it on, or for you to lose possibly testosterone, because testosterone improves your immune system. So oftentimes cancers will happen because your immune system is suppressed by stress, or it's suppressed by environmental chemicals, or it's suppressed by some other illness that caused you to take a medication that suppressed your immune system. So oftentimes cancers, they always happen years before we find them. But it's one cell that just got loose and didn't get caught up by your immune system.
Right.
So it's really more of an immune problem than it is cancer isolated. It's a poor immune system. So I watch people with testosterone replacement improve their white count, improve their bone marrow response to illness. They usually get better faster from viruses. Testosterone improves human growth hormone, so that does help that. But testosterone alone stimulates the T cells, your white cells, the T cells that kill viruses and cancers, and as well as bacteria. So you get better faster.
Right.
I mean, I haven't been as sick as I was prior to replacing my testosterone, except when I was in my 30s. I was never sick, and I was around sick people all the time. So that's another thing. Autoimmune disorders that debilitate people starting usually in their 40s, that's testosterone goes down and their immune system hyper reacts.
Okay.
So testosterone is kind of a modulator. It either makes the immune system go back to normal by increasing it, or if it's hyperreactive, it brings it down to normal.
So what you're painting is a picture of life potential without hormone replacement,
right?
Including all of these horrific things. And not everybody gets all of them, but everybody gets some of them, and none of them are very good, very comfortable, and the quality of life begins to deteriorate. And we all know elderly people, relatives, friends, people at church, whatever, that become reclusive, that become fragile, that become angry and frightened, that begin to avoid engaging in life because physically / emotionally they can't do it anymore.
Well, if you can't speak and have someone understand you, and you have to hunt for words all the time, it's embarrassing. So out of embarrassment, you may be a recluse. But the things that I was describing are all the reasons that in the present aging population, over 70 now, is debilitated, is because they don't have these things. And these are things that hormones provide. And it's why we don't have these things when we're younger.
Right.
Our hormones are working. When they stop working, then we stop making all of the proteins and blood cells and protection that we had our whole lives. So if we can replace that, stop it. I mean, it's a huge thing to just stop this in action and then rebuild everything. Rebuild your muscles, rebuild your bones, rebuild your heart. One of my patients, God love him, and he won't mind that I say Tom, but Tom had a terrible heart attack. He had only been on pellets a short time, but he he felt better, but he had a heart attack anyway. He'd had atherosclerosis, and his heart muscle was damaged. And he asked his cardiologist, who then called me, if he could take his testosterone, because the testosterone made him feel better and made him be able to walk more and exercise and recover. And so his cardiologist and I talked, and I gave him all the medical information on testosterone, and he told him that he thought it would help his heart muscle, but not to expect too much because his heart muscle was never going to be better than 20%.
Oh, wow.
20% of what he'd been before. So he was devastated, but Tom's not somebody who lets anything stop him, especially when he's on testosterone. He's the same old guy he was when he was 30. So he just did everything he was supposed to, rehab and everything, and now his heart's actually back to normal, and his cardiologist is stunned.
Yeah.
Stunned. I mean, he can do everything, including having sex, which
so
makes him very happy.
Has the cardiologist made an appointment with you yet?
No, the cardiologist is younger. The cardiologist doesn't need it yet. He's making his own.
He's probably got it in his tickler file.
Yeah, he probably does.
Happens.
And so he'll be sending me some patients.
Actually, I was talking to a physician the other day that knows you, and he was laughing because he was saying he and his wife were getting to the point where they're beginning to discuss coming to see you. And he's been referring to you for years, but hasn't needed it. And now he's saying, I'm aware enough that I think I need to go and see her.
Yeah, you should see the lights come on in my office when all the patients are sitting in the waiting room, and then I come out and I say, Dr. Blank, come on back, let's talk. And they go, because of course we're never dressed like doctors or white coats or anything when we're in the waiting room. Yeah, no, they don't mind because they're listening to all these women who are so much happier. They're just getting their refills. So but we're talking about prevention of all the things that cost money, both money to us as patients and money to the healthcare system.
Right.
So that's huge in this day and age. We're looking for ways to save money. So if we were all to have the hormones replaced, I believe that we would have less of these illnesses,
because
less drugs, less everything, and less nursing home care. Let's talk about nursing home care, because I've had 3 parents who have had to use nursing homes.
Yes.
And that it is very expensive. And from independent care, which is maybe in the Midwest, $3,500 a month, to full care, which in the Midwest has almost gotten to $7,000 a month.
Wow.
And that's food, that's care.
So independent care being you have an apartment or something, you live and somebody comes in and checks on you, but you basically fix your own meals or some of your meals.
Some places you can fix your own meals, and they usually have kitchens or something like that. And some places you go down to group dining.
Okay.
A dining room.
But somebody comes in to make sure you haven't fallen in the bathtub.
Right. There's always somebody there. You can pull a cord, and somebody will come up and help you.
And then full-term care.
Full-term is
like being in the hospital.
Almost being in a hospital. It's a patient, nurse, doctor situation, and it's not nearly as comfortable as home. I mean, nobody really would wish that on anyone. But the cost of that is huge. I mean, it's $6,500. Let's go on the $6,500 amount, and I think we figured out that was $66,000 a year.
So if you live 3 years like that, that's almost $200,000.
Yeah, I mean, who has $200,000 that they want to dump on a nursing home when they can't even remember who they are?
Right.
And most people, I always hear this in even our parents. I want to be home. I want to be home. They don't know where home is. Maybe one had problem with thinking. My dad's currently living, and he doesn't have any problem remembering where home is.
Yeah.
But I can't take care of him.
Right.
And so it's a full-time job, and he needs to be in a place like that, and he needs to have 3 meals a day that are there waiting for him, and he needs to have nursing care. So
we had the same.
I don't want that.
We had my wife's grandmother lived with us the last couple of years, and instead of putting her in long-term care, my wife actually retired and took care of her full-time, and it was a full-time job for her. So much so that she got exhausted, and we had to hire someone to come in at night just to be there.
I honestly don't advise anyone taking care of somebody full-time, 24/7. Because the person that's the caretaker always gets sick.
Yeah.
They get sick, and oftentimes the caretaking wife or husband is the first to die, rather than the person that's chronically ill. The statistics say the caretaker will often die before the sick person, and that's very upsetting to children who then have to step in and take care of everything.
Especially today when we have people that are in their 50s and 60s who are looking at retirement, looking at the end of their productive work life, but they have parents who are in their 80s and 90s that are still alive. So they're trying to take care of them. And some of those 50 and 60-year-olds are debilitated because they haven't done the things that you're talking about doing.
Even if you take pellets,
Yeah.
you can't
don't want to take
work
that on.
24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not smart.
Yeah.
That you have to have a life.
So
But this is the cost that we're trying to avoid. If you can delay it as long as possible, if we could delay nursing home care to the last year of our lives. I mean, my mother-in-law lived 7 years in a nursing home.
yeah.
I mean, 7 years, multiply that out. And
Yeah.
that was mostly at the highest end of care.
Right.
So medicine has made us live longer. Now we need to learn to live smarter so that we can stay independent and we can stay out of our children's lives. We're all living so long that we're going to have several generations that are starting to get debilitated unless we take care of this. So my goal is to never have my patients end up in a nursing home unless it's for rehabilitation from an auto accident or something that it can't be avoided. So that's the cost of nursing homes you have to consider when you're considering keeping your muscles and bones healthy.
Yeah, because you're getting to the age where you're having to calculate what are my resources for providing quality of life for the remainder of my life, whatever that's going to be. And if you have to factor long-term care insurance or long-term care
Let's talk about
costs,
long-term care insurance.
yeah, because you can try to cover yourself that way as well, but that costs money too.
Right, and it doesn't cover everything. It covers a certain amount of money, and by the time inflation hits, who knows what will be when we need it. But long-term care insurance is about, let's see, 10-year pay, $120,000 per person. And if you're a couple, that's $240,000 that usually they have a 10-year pay, or you pay, if you're younger than I was when I bought it, then you pay for a longer period of time.
Right.
So for you who are looking at it now and are younger than 50, then you could probably have less than $1,000 a month payment. But that's what ours is.
Yeah, and it's one of the newer products, I mean newer in the last, say, 10 years, that as the population bubble of baby boomers starts to age, people begin to develop products that service their needs. And long-term care insurances, when my parents were young, there wasn't any such thing. It wasn't available. And nobody thought about it. You just got old and died, you know.
Interestingly enough, I mean, so we have the fear of nursing homes, none of us want to be there, and we have the cost of nursing homes.
Right.
So there's two benefits that you can avoid possibly by being as healthy as you can, and that means replacing your hormones. So those are especially testosterone. So the other thing is hospitalizations. Your hospitalizations decrease because you're not going to have as many critical illnesses because your immune system's better, your heart's better, you're going to recover from your heart better. What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about the old Fram oil filter commercial where the mechanic says, you know, for the Fram oil filter you pay me $7 now, or he replaces your engine for $700. He says, you can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Yeah.
You're saying, you know, BioBalance Health costs X, but it can save Y. And you know, Benjamin Franklin said in Poor Richard's Almanac, a penny saved is a penny earned. So if we can save all this money that we don't ever have to spend, then that money is available for us to live a better quality of life, to travel.
And have more fun, play golf. I mean, go to the beach. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we should be doing.
And feel better, whatever you're doing. And that's an incalculable cost. It's
we have great health care in America in terms of treating illness. We have the best health care in the world, and hopefully they won't mess it up. So we have the best health.
Political side.
Yeah, that was hopefully what's going on won't mess it up. But right now, people come to America to get health care. Where are they going to go if we mess it up? But we make people live longer. Now we need to turn to the next thing because we can't afford to make people live longer. And worse, if you live to 100 and you're in a nursing home for 20 years, that's not success.
Well, you get into those
success
ethical
is
questions
only
about quality of life.
if you're with it and you're well. And so we need to preserve the part of medicine and pay those doctors who are taking care of illness, but we also have to start preventing health problems, and part of it is replacing hormones. And interestingly enough, that's one of the things they don't pay for, that and preventive care of other things. Sadly, I mean, I never really thought I'd be in this position, but I really wish they would assist patients in preventive care.
Preventive care. Preventive care is becoming the mantra. And if you exercise good preventive care, you can potentially save all of these costs, emotional, financial, physical, that are going to happen in your life if you don't take care of yourself and if you don't do these preventative measures.
But some people are having to work till they're 70 now.
Right.
How can you work till you're 70 if you're exhausted because you don't have any hormones? Yeah. I mean, this is a lot of my patients have, before they came to see me, lost their jobs or said they were too tired to work, right. And they've retired, and now they feel great, and they're going back to being productive and making money for their retirement so that they can enjoy their retirement instead of just survive. So a lot of that, even if you're in that interim age group, like we are, that you can save your productivity and actually continue to earn money and save yourself all this other pain. A lot of this is priceless, like the MasterCard commercial, because part of it is, as people, we want to be independent. We want to think, we want to talk, we want to be social, we want to be able to see our grandchildren, not just see them. I don't want to just see my grandchildren. I want to interact with my grandchildren, carry them around. I don't want to be so frail that I can't carry a child. I can't get down on the floor and play with them.
Right.
That would be that would be so frustrating. So in this way, I think that we can help people, and it's not a guarantee. I can work with helping people get there. Yes. And a lot of it is diet and exercise. You have to work too,
and genetics.
But in this, I think we have something really big here that can make people really be able to live their lives longer and more productively. That's what we need now in the U.S.
So hopefully this conversation will stimulate you to think about where your life is going and how you want it to go. And if you're intrigued by what Kathy has to offer, go to her website and look at the information, or call the office and ask questions, or contact us directly. Kathy, how do they do that?
You can contact us at podcasts@biobalancehealth.com, or you can go to my website at biobalancehealth.com, or you can call my office at 314-993-0963.
And you can always reach me at brettnewcomb.com.